Welcome, everyone. This is your Irish News Roundup for the first week of March 2026. It was a genuinely packed week. A major housing law came into force. A very expensive shed made a comeback. Drones are apparently running the country's drug trade. And we learned that 1 in 5 Irish people feel lonely. So, plenty to get into. Let's go. The Residential Tenancies Bill 2026 officially kicked in on March 1st. The headline change: landlords can now set new tenancies at market rate. The old rent pressure zone caps are gone for new lets. But, and this is significant, large landlords can no longer evict tenants without a specific reason, and tenants get 6 years of security of tenure. The flashpoint moment was the flood of social media posts from renters who got rent increase notices dated February 28th, the day before the law changed. Pure coincidence, I'm sure. Just when the country had almost recovered from the $335,000 Leinster House bike shed saga, along comes the National Maternity Hospital with a $100,000 shed of its own. It immediately went viral, with Mary Lou McDonald calling it Groundhog Day in the Dale. The quote that really caught fire online was someone pointing out that you could buy a semi detached house in Roscommon for the same money. To be fair to the NMH, they've pushed back on some of the reporting, but the damage was done the moment that number got out. Two separate drone stories dominated the crime news this week, and they could not be more different in scale. First, two men were charged in Dublin for using off the shelf commercial drones to drop drugs over prison walls, thousands of euros worth. It's a growing trend across Irish prisons. Second, and this is the one that really spooked people, drones were spotted tracking President Zelensky's aircraft as it came into Dublin. That immediately triggered a security investigation. Nobody has claimed responsibility. The Garda and Defense Forces are involved. Watch this space. This one has huge implications for Ireland specifically, given that Dublin hosts the European headquarters of practically every major US tech company. A US court ruled this week that it isn't just the content on platforms like Meta and YouTube that can be held legally negligent, it's the design itself. Infinite scroll, autoplay, notification nudges. The comparison to big tobacco is apt. For years, tobacco companies said they just made the product, they weren't responsible for how people used it. That argument eventually collapsed in court. The question now is, does it collapse here too? And could Ireland, as the EU's de facto tech regulator, be the place where that fight happens next? This is one of those stories that reminds you how long the shadow of the Troubles still stretches. Dennis Donaldson was a senior Sinn Féin official who was unmasked as an MI5 informant in 2005. He was murdered in his cottage in Donegal in April 2006. No one was charged for nearly 2 decades. This week, a 49-year-old man was brought before the Special Criminal Court in connection with the killing. The case has never been officially attributed, though dissident Republicans have long been suspected. It's an enormous moment for the Donaldson family and for anyone who followed this case. This one is lighter, but it was everywhere midweek. The tanning salon associated with Conor McGregor's sister admitted that a treatment was sold to an underage client. It immediately became tabloid fodder. The McGregor name guarantees clicks, and the underage angle made it a legitimate story rather than just gossip. The salon has since apologized and said steps are being taken. It dominated the daytime radio phone ins and kept the celebrity adjacent section of Irish Twitter very busy for a day or two. Sometimes that's just what a news week needs. This one hit a nerve. A new EU wide survey found that 20% of people in Ireland report feeling regularly lonely. That's 7 percentage points above the EU average of 13%. Ireland, the country famous for the pub, for the craic, for stopping to chat. The radio coverage was fascinating. Callers were split between "we've always been like this" and "something has fundamentally broken." A few themes kept coming up: the cost of living forcing people to work more and socialize less, the end of natural community anchors like the GAA club and the local church, and the loneliness that can come with moving to a city for work. Worth keeping an eye on as a political issue, it's not going away. Minister Jim O'Callaghan released the annual crime figures this week, and the picture is genuinely mixed. The good news is real. Burglaries are down 13% year on year and down 75% over the past decade. That's a genuine success story. Better community policing, smarter crime prevention, improved detection. But the mood on the street doesn't match those numbers, and the reason is the stabbings. There have been a series of knife attacks in Dublin's North Inner City in recent months, and that concentrated visible violence makes people feel unsafe regardless of what the aggregate stats say. The minister acknowledged both trends and signaled increased resourcing for the affected areas. So that's your week. Sheds that cost more than houses, drones delivering drugs and tracking world leaders, a 20-year-old murder finally reaching court, and a country grappling with loneliness while the rent goes up. Next week, it's all eyes on St. Patrick's Day preparations, the parade route, the overseas visitors, and inevitably, whatever controversy emerges between now and March 17th. If you've got thoughts on any of this week's stories, particularly that bike shed, drop them in the comments. See you next week.